Hey everybody, Wisdom here. It is now Friday, September 26, 2014, eerily close to the launch of Skylanders Trap Team. Hopefully you've gotten everybody leveled up, you've gone through, finished up Swap Force, and you are ready to rock and roll with Trap Team. Now, something that came out recently, I don't know who exactly had the information, what makes it official or anything, but there has been information come out that there is not going to be battle mode, PvP, etc. in Skylanders Trap Team. Basically, since that day or shortly thereafter, the majority of questions I have gotten have shifted from what are you excited and who are you excited about in Trap Team to, oh my gosh, what do you think about battle mode being gone? And I'm going to go ahead and address that because I plan a video series to tell you who I'm excited for and why. That said, my thoughts on battle mode overall, I really enjoy it. My nephew and I, pretty much, we play that more than the story mode together. When he's over here, that's really the only time I can play battle mode, and we play it. And I generally let him pick the battles. Sometimes we do tournaments. It kind of depends on how much time we have. But it is a great feature. It was awesome to have it included. But at E3, and, I want to stress right now, how seriously the people take me, I have no idea. How well my ideas resonate, I don't know. This is one of the ones that was listened to. The variant one that I just covered, you know, kind of like making them all look exactly the same box stock, but then you take them home and want a special. That idea, I can tell you, I had people that were very receptive to. And again, what happened, there was a lot of information at E3 that was off limits. They couldn't talk about it because they planned releases later in the year. We got to a point I was pitching ideas, because like I said, I take advantage of the limited opportunities life gives you. Whatever they may be, I always am the type of person I just figured go for it. Some of the stuff I tossed out there, it was just like, you got those strange looks like, what is wrong with this person? And then some of them, like the, you know, take home a regular looking Skylander and find out it's a variant, very well received. Now, I certainly never said eliminate battle mode. That is not something I would do, but here's my issue with battle mode, and it resonates very well with people. I can only play battle mode when my nephew's here. Granted, I could turn on a second controller, I could bring out a Wiimote, or fire up the X-Bone and turn on the other controller and let the battery drain. And that's actually what I've had to do. Some of the times I've taken characters through to get their quests done. There's the Win 10 PvP battles. Well, if you don't have a second person, that becomes a incredibly boring nightmare situation. Because basically what I do is I would take Sprocket, a box stock Sprocket, I would set her on the portal, and I would just beat her 10 times in a row. I don't know why I picked Sprocket. At the time, she was like one of the only characters I had that was box stock, which meant she had low health, which meant she died faster. And that's how I did a lot of the Win 10 PvP matches in Skylanders Giants, and I'll be honest, it wasn't a whole lot of fun. Now, the first couple of times you get a character on there, you know, you go from Bash to Terrafin to Prism Breaker to Light Core Prism Break. It's fun to just beat the tar out of another Skylander, but pretty much by the third round of 10, you're over it. You know, maybe you can switch to a different Skylander and enjoy it for one more round, but it's not fun. That is something, there's just like no benefits, really no reason to do it. So, this is something I've said for many years, basically since SSA. The majority of people, or what seems to be like the majority of people, push for online battle mode. I think that would be great. However, just like I do with Plants vs. Zombies, my thing is you need to focus on the single player, because everybody is a single player. Some people have multiple players in the house, that's great, but everyone will have a single player. Sometimes the multiple people in the house don't want to play, can't play, or maybe if your parents are willing to play with you, or a grandparent, or your other sibling, they may suck at it, and it might be just as bad as me battling Sprocket by myself. And you want to avoid that because PvP is awesome. I want to come in and I want to be Terrafin, and I want my nephew to be his favorite Slam Bam, and I want to see how they match up. I want to grab Doomstone and see if my nephew can beat me. I want him to be Starstrike, and I want to see if I can take him down with a certain character, or any character for that matter. And that's what PvP did. That's what battle mode brought to the table. My issue again, though, comes down to the single player element. There needed to be an option where when my nephew's not here, I can play versus the computer. If you come in and you've got a sports game and your favorite team is the Cowboys, or your favorite team is the Mavericks or the Knicks or the Yankees or whatever it is, you need to be able to play the game without a second person and without an online feature. Some people don't have internet. Some people's internet is absolutely too slow to function in that manner. And that's where it's the CPU. And maybe I'm too old, I don't know, I'm not even 30, but you know, I grew up in a different time, and games were always built around the single player experience. Anything you do beyond the single player makes it an even better overall experience, but at the core of every game is the single player. That person will always be there. If they're not there, the game's not getting played. So my thoughts are, you need to have single player versus CPU. If I come in there as a box stock Flashwing and we just obliterate a fully upgraded Slam Bam or something, there need to be difficulty settings, kind of like they do with story mode. Just like you have in your regular fighting games, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, more appropriately Super Smash Bros., you know. If you come in on Super Smash Bros. For the Wii, and you're playing as Mario, and you obliterate the computer, crank the difficulty up. And if you think, yeah, I've got this, and you put it up to 10, you're probably going to lose, and you're going to lose really fast. You know, you have to actually practice and get better to actually compete and eventually overtake that CPU player. It's the same way, you know, like in Mario Kart. You know, you come in, and you don't have to have the 11 other people. You just come in, and the other 11 karts are racing you. That is what battle mode to me needs to be. It needs to have that single player element where I can come in. If I just want to do win 10 PvP battles with Blast Zone, I can just battle a level 1 CPU and obliterate them in no time. I do think, you know, I'm fine with, you know, putting the second Skylander on, or maybe if you've, say, got your entire collection on there, you could cycle through them or something. There's all kinds of interfaces there, but bottom line, I need to be able to take whatever Skylander I want and battle whatever Skylander that I own with the CPU controlling whichever character I select not to control. If that was part of the game, I would have so much more content. In fact, I might enjoy that more than a lot of the other modes offered in the game. I would come in and I would take Jetvac and I'd make him battle worn, basically the pole battles I did on the pool table. Who would win, Igniter versus Voodoo, you know, Igniter versus Ghost Roaster? I'd still probably run pole battles, but I mean, single player would allow me to do all those pole battles I've done in front of the camera for you. I could literally make a bracket. I could let you vote for your favorite giants, and I could take them and I could whittle them down one by one, and I could do some crazy setup where I battle each one, and it would be awesome. And it would add so much content opportunities. And it's something everyone would enjoy. I would be playing it right now instead of making this video. I'll be honest with you about that. But it's not there. And, you know, apparently, like I said, it's not been confirmed to me, but I assume whoever had the information and has made it so widespread probably got it from a reliable source, or if not, I assume at this point in time, someone from Activision would have come in and said, hey, that's not true, we've got PvP, quit spreading these crazy rumors, kids. And as best I know, that hasn't happened, so I have to assume it's probably really gone, and that's a travesty. However, something I pitched, and it certainly wasn't to take it away, and like I said, this idea, people could probably have forgotten about it 10 minutes after I said it, but something I said, and I said it because I genuinely believe it, was simply this. Make the game. Make Skylanders Trap Team, make Skylanders 5, make Skylanders 6, but come in and make a standalone game that is battle mode. It's Skylander versus Skylander. Call it whatever you want to, but make it have a single player versus a CPU. And whenever I was pitching this, the people said, oh, what about online? Everyone wants online. That's really hard to regulate. And I said, look, online would be great, but I don't really care. I said, that's what people are telling me too. But I said, before you do online, in my opinion, you've got to do the single player. You come in and you just have the standalone game for the battles. And you're probably thinking, wait, you idiot, we're going to have to buy that every year. Why did you even say that? No. What I said, and whether it matters or not, I don't know, but what I said is make the game like $19.99, $29.99, something like that. Have a whole bunch of cool arenas and have it set up to where I can come in and I can grab my Series 2 Slam Bam and I can grab Scarlet and Genie and I can play a Slam Bam, and this can be the CPU. I can obliterate her, and then I can crank up her difficulty and she can slaughter me, and then I'll work and practice and continue to battle her until I can finally take down level 10 Scarlet and Genie. And my thoughts are pretty simple. You think, okay, well, you do that right now, and what, it would work with Trap Team and the previous characters, but what about the next game, you idiot? When it comes out, we're going to have to go out and shell out another $20 for the same thing, and we don't want to do that. My solution to that, and it's because I thought about it ahead of time, is DLC. As you know, I'm not a big fan of DLC, but whenever Skylanders 5 comes out, and we've got presumably 16 new characters, and some old returning characters with new WoW pals or level caps or something like that, make a little patch that you can download to the game you've already planned ahead, and it adds the new roster. It'll add some arenas. You could even structure it where, if you're in a time crunch, you could have like the characters coming out at launch be available, and then you've got like round 2 that features the rest of them later. There's all kinds of options. It's all doable. It's a possibility with what everyone is doing with DLC these days, and it would be cheap. You'd already have your $20, $30 game, and then you just have little DLC that tied in with each game that brought the entire game roster to you. And what that would allow you to do is you would have your PvP. It would be separate. You could probably do a lot more with it. I'm sure they've got some great ideas they haven't been able to incorporate because of space or time constraints or budgets or something. This would open up a new door. It would allow single-player PvP. It would have the local co-op. Something else I said is, hey, you want to pitch the family thing, make it 4-player. Make it a deal where, a mom, a dad, and the 2 kids can each have a Skylander, and it can be mother and son against father and daughter. It can be the kids versus the parents. That's kind of what you see in most fighting games. It's 4 characters. Tekken, Super Smash Bros., all those, you can kind of come in and have more than 2 people. So you've got your single player, you've got your 2-player that you're accustomed to with the previous 3 games, and then you've got a situation where you have got 4-player. We've taken it up a notch. If you want to do 3 in a CPU, you can do that. It, as a standalone game, it would open up a ton of potential, a ton of untapped possibilities. Then I know what some of you are saying. That's actually not a bad idea. Or B, you're a crazy idiot, quit talking. But assuming you're saying that's not a bad idea, but I want online. I'm a single player. I might sometimes have the 2nd player or someone else that wants to play with me, but I want to go online and battle people. My buddy lives in Erie, Pennsylvania, whatever it may be. You want to take on Rob from Coin Op or W Drums or Pete, whatever your crazy little ideas are. I agree. Online is great in that sense. I'm not a huge fan of it. I honestly prefer single player versus CPU. But apparently I'm like a dying breed of ancients or something. So I've come around to it, that online interface is there. The issue, and I think people discount this, but what I think they're trying to do, I've never had anyone actually say this, but, this is to be a kid's game. It's to be a family-friendly game. And they don't want to have a lobby, where you could have 2 8-year-olds or an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old in the neighborhood go online and come in against like teenagers that are just, cussing or talking trash or whatever it may be. That's a legitimate concern. Now, you can dumb it down and just like not have an interactive lobby. You could just have matches. But I think if they do it, they want to do it right. They want it to be immersive. They want the kid that moved away from your third grade class that you're best friends with to be able to play with you, talk with you, and have other people in the match, that you can all interact with. So that's a legit concern. But like I said, there's ways to just jump head first into it and just not stress about that and just like nerf it down. Or you've got a match, or you can enter your friend code or a Portal Master code or whatever it might be, and you could play with people. Nintendo, very family friendly, very clean. It's filtered, it's moderated for the most part. There are ways to implement that, and I think they'd probably be aware of them. That would cover the online component. And again, to me, coming in and making the battle mode a standalone game would be the solution for it. You could dedicate so much more time, so many more resources to it. It would allow for you to build in the single player CPU component. It would allow you to keep what's worked so well in the current 3 games with the local co-op play. It would allow you to expand that to a 3rd and 4th player, be it CPU or 4 people, 4 actual players. I mean, think about it. If you're someone that has a sibling or someone in your family and 2 of you play regularly, a husband and wife, whatever the combination, 2 grandparents that are awesome, you could then come in, you could be your favorite Skylander, the other person could be their favorite Skylander, and then you could go up against 2, like level 10 or Super Nightmare, whatever difficulty Skylanders. And it would be a crud ton of fun. And like I said, I would come in at a really low price point, $20-$30, and then I would just make the game expandable. I'd build that in. They know how to do that. Games these days have gigantic, sometimes, content that you can download that exceeds what the game originally had. If you're so inclined, games like Minecraft have expanded infinitely over the years. And again, just when Skylanders 5 or 6 comes out, just say, hey, give us $5 or $9.99 and you get the entire new roster. That to me is the way to do it. Is that what's going to happen? I don't know. Did they just totally eliminate PvP because they're sick of it or it's boring or something? Possibly. But I did pitch that idea. I think it's a great idea, and the reason I plan to actually tell people about these 2 ideas right before the launch of Trap Team, and I also am planning to release my E3 video of Nintendo's Amiibos. I got some really good video, at least I think it is, of the Amiibos there, kind of covered them, and I'm going to release that because they'll be coming out very soon, and I wanted to save this stuff kind of for the end of September, right before SSB for the 3DS, and of course Trap Team releases on the 5th. So, I did not anticipate battle mode and PvP being taken away from Trap Team. That's nothing I don't think anyone knew was coming, I guess, until here recently. And still, I don't know where that originated, but like I said, I assume it's true, because if it wasn't, there would be people probably relaying the news that, hey, that's a rumor, it's fake, it's still there, quit freaking out, people. And I feel like amongst the people I know, someone would have told me, like, yeah, did you hear that rumor? It's totally not true, dude. So I have not heard that. And what I have been hearing is all the people sending me messages and tweeting to me and direct messages and Facebook messages and Google Plus comments. It's like, whoa, what did they do with PvP? Man, this is crazy. What are you thinking on it? So that's what I think on it. I'm very sad to see it go because, in all honesty, that's what my nephew and I played the majority of with Skylanders. Now, granted, with PvP gone, my nephew, when he's over here and we want to play Skylanders, we'll probably do like chapter modes together, which I kind of enjoy anyway. But I really enjoyed, like, when Trap Team comes out, maybe he likes Snapshot and maybe I'm a huge Crypt King fan. I'll be honest with you, I am pretty bummed out that we can't have those 2 go head to head. I can tell you right now, my nephew was wanting to pit Starstrike against all of the new Skylanders, Trap Masters and the new core characters. And currently, I guess it doesn't look like we can do that. But that's my thoughts on it. I felt like I've said it for years. I want single player. And I brought up the online because that's the overwhelming feedback I get from the majority of you. Now, I've been doing this for 3 years, and I've had a ton of people who are just like me. And it's like, hey, it's just me too, buddy. I can't even touch PvP. You're lucky you've got a nephew. I can never play it, type situation. So it's one of those things, in your stereotypical scenario, you've got a family of four, a mom, a dad, a daughter, and a son, in some order, that stereotypical image is not always accurate. There's a lot of only kids out there. There's a lot of split families. There's a lot of, age gaps between siblings. There's a lot of families that might have like a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old, and the 13-year-old just won't touch the game. It's for kids, and they're not interested. There's just all kinds of variables there, but in my mind, the best thing to do, regardless of Trap Team not having PvP, is to have a standalone battle mode game, whatever you want to call it, and then it would just expand each year with very reasonably priced DLC that would bring in not only the new characters, but the new upgrades for, returning characters, and of course, new arenas, possibly even new modes, all kinds of options there. That's my honest opinion on it. It's something that I hope happens. I sincerely hope that it happens now that it's been announced that there's no PvP or battle mode. Like I said, I plan to release this, but now, since I guess that rumor came out and it's been, not deconfirmed or something, the messages I went from, hey, which Trap Master do you think is going to be the best? Or, which new character do you want the most, man? That stuff abruptly came to an end, and everything I've gotten like the last 5-6 days has been, oh, what do you think about the PvP? And this is what I think. I think there should be the standalone game. I think there needs to be a single player versus CPU. I think the local co-op needs to expand from 2 players to 4. I think there needs to be the options for 2 local players to battle 2 CPU players. And I think if it's not available immediately, shortly after something like that would be launched, I think there needs to be the online interface. It's something that would go over extremely well with the fans, particularly older players, probably anyone over like the age of, 15 or something. They're going to err towards the side of, I want to play online. I'm on playing, Skylanders Battle. My buddy's across town, he's playing Skylanders Battles. We want to be able to play together, despite being in different locations. We need the online mode. So that is pretty much my thought on it. Again, I hate to see it go, but at the same time, it was something that I could only use as is in limited runs when my nephew was here. There really wasn't that single player option. Some of the things they offered up in Swap Force, like the solo survival, things of that nature, the bonus mission maps, those were great because they were single and local co-op. So that obviously ties in well with my desire to have the single player taken care of first and foremost. But it's gonna be sad not having it in Trap Team. My hope is that maybe this idea resonated well with folks and it will come to fruition. If not, if they don't have something similar to that planned, or if they don't have, plans to continue it in Skylanders 5 with some massive upgrades of, online capabilities or something, it's honestly a big blow to the series, because a lot of the replay value came from that. For a lot of people, and I know several that I've communicated with over the past 3 years, it has been PvP is something they prefer over story mode, actually. So, again, if something blows your mind, you think that's not possible, you have to remember, everybody's different. For as many people that, love Mario Kart, some people hate it. For as many people that think, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is great, some people thinks it isn't. Some people like baseball, some like football, some hate all sports altogether. So, regardless of how hard it is for you to wrap your mind around a particular idea set, there are people out there that follow that school of thought. So, I hate seeing it go, I really do. And that said, I won't miss it personally by myself, but when my nephew's over here on the weekends or when school isn't, backlogging him with stuff to do, it's going to be sad because I'll want to come in and I'll want to take snapshot and he'll want to be lobstar and we'll want to see which one can win. And then out of those, we want to see who's the best trap master. And that's really how you do it. It's not like, oh, well, he got through the chapter mode easier. It's like, how do they stack up head to head? Who's the best? Can anyone beat this particular character? And I know we're not the only ones that operate like that. That is a big part of the game. It's a big part, in my opinion, of the Skylanders franchise. And like I said, the last 3 weeks or so, it's always been, hey, what character are you looking the most forward to? And quickly that has all spiraled out of control and become, what do you think of the PvP and battle mode being cast aside and us not having it? A couple of people, and honestly there's been like 2 or 3 people is all that have said, what do you think about Chaos's Doom Challenge? And then everyone else has been, well, what do you think about PvP being taken away? And you can kind of sense the panic and urgency, even though they're like text-based messages people send in. So I truly will miss it. My nephew and I are both pretty bummed out about it. It'll kind of hit home when you play Trap Team and he's over here that first weekend and we can't come in, and have like a food fight versus chopper battle. That's going to be really, really sad. But like I said, my solution and what I would like to see going forward, if not immediately, in the hopefully not too distant future, is a standalone battle game. Let Skylanders 5 develop more, let it have more chapters, let it have more side content, bonus missions, things of that nature, but develop a Skylanders battle game and keep it, standalone, and make each additional year or characters be available via, downloadable content, and let it expand that way. Make them 2 separate entities. I know you're thinking, that's a waste of my money, it should all be included. In my opinion, it's a better situation. Give us more content on the game itself, Swap Force, Trap Team, number 5, etc., and give us more content on the dedicated battle game. That to me is the best solution. It is what I would personally like to see. And if that were to happen, the idea that I pitched, something similar to it, I can put out some awesome content, stuff I've always wanted to do. Basically, as soon as I go out on launch day, if that were the case, I would come home and probably before I record Chapter 1, I would do Crypt King versus Nitro Crypt King, and it would actually inspire me to upgrade the characters first before going through the game box stock, things of that nature. So that is what I would like to see. Is it something they're considering? I don't know. I pitched the idea. They kind of seem somewhat interested. Again, the variant proposals seemed to go over a little bit better. That one was really well taken. I think this one might have resonated, and again, I think they were expecting to just be hammered, just give us online, give us online, give us online, and I'm kind of stepping back and saying, hey, that'd be great, but why don't you consider the single player first? And again, some people may hate me for that, but that's honestly what I think should be done, and build it up to online. And regardless of if you want the online, I think everyone has to admit the single player versus CPU is a solid foundation, and you can run with it from there. But like I said, will this happen? I have no way of knowing. I personally think it's a great idea. I wouldn't have bothered to pitch it. I've thought about it for a long time. And for me personally, when I come in and record the blind playthroughs, at midnight to 3 in the morning, my nephew's not up. He's not with me. And if I want to come in and do Fright Rider versus Ghost Roaster, I could do that with the CPU, and I think that would be awesome. Similarly, some of you guys in Australia and New Zealand that I've communicated with over the years, when I'm up late at night doing this stuff, I could potentially be battling you. On the weekends, I could interact with fans. We could set up tournaments. That's something else I'd like to see in it, is the ability, for you to come in and literally set up a bracket, dictate each Skylander, granted, even if it does have to be within your control, or maybe they give you full access to the roster. Let's say you never got Swarm and Crusher. Maybe you can have them be CPU that you can battle, and that's kind of a selling point to hey, you know, we battled this character we've never had, we really liked his powers, let's go get him. It would be a really, really solid option in my opinion. And again, I hope something like that is planned based on PvP not being in there. I think Chaos's Doom Challenge, I think that mode will be interesting. It, however, does not in any way, shape, or form replace PvP, even if it maintained its status quo of it being I can only play when my nephew's here, or I have to slaughter Sprocket with a second Wiimote running its battery down for no reason. So that's my thoughts of this video. I had the SD card max out and I actually edited the variant one, so it's kind of skewed. It's a little bit long. I will warn you at the start of the video, I'll say, hey, read the text-based version to save time. I realize most people prefer videos, so that's why I make these. But I honestly care about the franchise. I mean, I sit here and I make these videos because I enjoy the game. I want to see it succeed. I want other people to get into it and enjoy it as much as I do. And I've had so freaking many people. Now granted, I plan to make the videos like here's some crazy stuff I said at E3 since we didn't have a bunch of information available, and I plan to like release my amiibo content from E3, things of that nature. But I had no idea I would be doing it after they said no PvP, no battle mode. So I still don't know where that originated, but like I said, I have to assume sadly that it's accurate, or it would have probably been debunked by now. And I hope that's not the case, but if it is, people are asking me what I think. I think it's a tragedy. It was a huge part of the enjoyment. It's been a huge part of the franchise. Despite the shortcomings, it's an awesome asset to the game. And then when you ask in turn, what would I propose? What would I like to see? My solution is the standalone game, and that's why I pitched it at E3. I didn't realize it would be something that would have more relevance now because they were going to can it from Trap Team. I was just hoping that maybe in the next game, Skylanders 5, there'd be, be something like, hey, seems like some dude told me something about he'd like to have CPU options, maybe we could build that in. And like I said, right now, a standalone game is looking like the best option to me. So it's what I pitched. Maybe it resonated decently, I don't know, but I would absolutely love to see it. That's why, again, the tournament brackets, as I mentioned previously, if you don't have a character, maybe you can battle it, and that's incentive to, go purchase the character if you liked it. Similarly, I think I also said something about I'd like to see like a Skylander karting game, which I know some people will just go up in arms about that, but I think it'd be cool. One of the best, and I stand by this statement regardless of what anyone will say, one of the best kart racing games I have ever played was Pac-Man World Rally. I think it was maybe 2, I can't remember now. I've still got it for the PlayStation 2. That was awesome. It was basically, it's honestly like a rip-off of Mario Kart with Pac-Man characters, but I loved it. And I would absolutely enjoy a Skylanders karting game. Again, I'd kind of do it the same way as this, but I don't want to go into that. That's another story, another day. I slightly mentioned it, but like I said, this was something I pitched at E3, and it wasn't one of the ones that just raised eyebrows like I was an idiot. It also wasn't, as well received as like, here's how you might solve, the variants getting abducted by employees. But it's something I came up with, and now, like I said, in light of what's happened recently, I guess this video has like greater bearing, and it's hopefully something maybe if you like the concept of, you can get behind, leave some comments, leave some likes, and it would be great to hear from the people like myself who want to battle the CPU. I honestly would take that over online. It's more reliable. I would have a freaking heyday with that. I'm not even gonna lie, I would play it all the time. And if that's something that you fall into that same boat, please let me know in the comments section. Make some noise. If that's not planned, if it was actually laughed at after the fact, or after I kind of suggested it, maybe that'll kind of gain momentum and it's something they'll consider. I do think there will be a backlash from a lot of people not having the PvP, but like I said, I think based on everything I know about the behind the scenes, the people that work on the game, if they can something like that, I can only assume they've got something that they feel is going to be better, or they're working on something that they think is just going to blow your mind for next time. I hope that there's a solution before the 5th game. But I have good faith. Like I said, I've played Trap Team. It was awesome. It overrode any perceived lack of information, in my opinion. But that is what I would personally love to see as a standalone battle game. That's why I pitched it. And if you think it's a great idea, chime in on the comment section. But in regards to the simple question, how do I feel about it being canned? Pretty much devastated, because like I said, that's what my nephew and I spent all of our time in Swap Force. I think outside of battling Chaos and maybe going through like half of a chapter with me once, all of our time together in Swap Force was literally, let's see who can beat Star Strike. I want to be Freeze Blade. He's my favorite. You pick your favorite, uncle, and let's see what happens. So it is a pretty sad loss, but like I said, I have to move forward and hope in good faith that they've got something awesome planned. And if not, I think my idea is pretty freaking awesome. And if you do too, like I said, make some noise, and maybe it'll happen. I don't know. But that's my personal opinion. I like the single-player CPU over online. I also like the single-player CPU as the solid foundation that you can then build upon and add in all those other features, including player versus player online. So that's my thoughts. It's like 4:30 in the morning now. I'm super tired. When I edited that last video, I realized how tired I was. I also realized that I have the title slide that warned you that it was a long video about the variant options in the middle at a stopping point as opposed to at the start, so that gives you an idea of what kind of a framework I am in. But I've got to go to bed. I've got to get some sleep. I will probably have dreams of Trap Team in my head. But like I said, if this is something you think's a good idea, rally behind it, make some noise. Maybe it can come to fruition. But it is an idea I pitched. Like I said, never did I suggest that we do away with it. I just thought this would have been an awesome addition. And now, in light of everything that's happened recently, I have to honestly hope that maybe something like that is planned. And again, I've spent limited time around these people, but I can tell you for a fact they're all very passionate about this. So they're basically people like me, but they, work this 24/7 and they get paid, and it's how they make their living. So they've got high stakes in it. They want it to succeed. They want it to be successful. And like I said, I honestly have to believe that I'm guessing the Chaos, Doom Challenge must be pretty awesome. There's probably some other things built in to take up a lot of our replay time that are pretty cool we may not know about or appreciate in full yet. But I'm thinking either in the 5th installment, everything will be back and it will be better than ever, or perhaps maybe something like I pitched at E3 and I've described to you here tonight is actually in the works, and that would just be wicked awesome. And again, if that ever happens, be it shortly after Trap Team around Christmas, in Skylanders 5 or in Skylanders 7, when that happens, I will spend a ridiculous amount of time up late at night going Skylander versus CPU, and I would have an absolute blast with it. So like I said, let me know your thoughts. If you think that's a great idea, throw it out there. But I will quit rambling. I probably rambled a little more than usual. I'm extremely tired. I've mentioned that. But like I said, I plan to release this. I just didn't plan to be making it in light of the supposed, I guess, again, to me, I haven't heard anything official or picked the game up, so it's kind of a rumor, but I'm assuming it's true. So hopefully it's just a rumor and it's there, even if it's the standalone, and then I can just say, yeah, this was my idea, and no worries, but like I said, right now at this point, I have to assume that it is really canned. So pretty sad deal, but like I said, this would be my solution. This is something, if PvP isn't canned in Trap Team, this that I presented to you today is something I stand behind. I think it would be awesome. And going forward, I would absolutely like to see the game split, where the disc is dedicated to the game. We get maybe some more bonus mission type stuff, in-game specific, maybe a longer overall game. And then you've got the standalone battle game. And it's reasonably priced, $20-30 your initial investment. and then you come in and it's, you know, very low priced DLC that brings in the new rosters, characters, arenas, upgrades, you know, fan requested stuff like a bigger tournament bracket, or, you know, enhanced online features, whatever they may be. It would open up a ton of possibilities, and I think that would be a great path for the franchise and the series in general to pursue. But like I said, I'm just one guy in the middle of Texas and it's 5 in the morning, so I'll quit rambling. If you're not subscribed, make sure to do so. In addition to crazy ideas and videos like this, I've got a lot of other things going on. You can follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, circle me on Google+, whichever you prefer. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you back here for more Skylanders Trap Team news.